Peace in the body. What is it and how do we experience it? This is the question Wren and Fallon explore in Season 3 of Mujeres Co-Labor for Peace.
When it comes to healing and you're stuck in healing, where can we invite in that energetic peace?
Bringing you expert advice in healing from a host of practices and practitioners, Wren and Fallon seek to increase complete wellness and lasting peace, one insight at a time. Hey, hello, and welcome to the show. Welcome to Mujeres Co-Labor for Peace, Season 3, Peace in the Body. And today's episode, episode 4, is all about how do we repair? How do we do the repair? I am your host, Wren Ribeiro.
And I am your host, Fallon Stone. And we wish you complete wellness and lasting peace.
All right, let's get in.
Okay.
Let's get into repair work.
Let's get into it.
Non-automotive repair work.
The deep kind.
Yeah, the deep kind. The deep kind that is enduring, lasting, and just feels good. Good, good, good. Ease in the body, peace in the body, repair. Yeah. Our last episode, we talked a lot about why it's important to do repair and even like what it is. What is repair? And today we're talking about how do we do it? How do we do it?
How do we apply it?
Yeah, yeah. And I think the most important thing is wanting to repair, like wanting that ease, wanting that peace for yourself and for others. And we did talk a little bit about that, but I can't emphasize it enough. You know, it can feel really complicated, complex, and what do you do? And there's just so many emotions that where do you begin? Yeah. So I think that's where I want to emphasize beginning. Begin in the moment, begin with the breath, begin with the intention. And I think I hear my old self saying, easier said than done. I hear all this resistance from my old self, the self before I chose a path of mindfulness, before I chose to do breath work, before I chose to do yoga. And I've been doing yoga every day for 25 years. Before I did all that, I'm hearing that old self saying, no, it's hard. It's too hard. Even though I love repair and I've chosen it for myself, I still can access that voice. So I know how hard it can be for people to believe.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I'm wondering, what do you think that voice within you is caring about? The voice that says, no, it's too hard. What do you think is important to that voice?
It's going to be hard to access that because I just hear that wah-wah. It's not really here. And I'm used to tuning that out, actually.
Yeah.
So what would that voice in the past be saying or wanting? Are you saying, what does it need? Or
yeah, like, what's it caring about? Yeah. Sometimes when that voice gets really loud within me, and it's like, let's just never talk about this again. Let's just pretend that this is fine. Yeah. Let's not be dramatic, right? This is my wounding from childhood. Let's not be dramatic.
Right. To be dramatic is such a label.
Such a label.
Being dramatic could be beautiful.
So much drama. So sometimes when that voice gets really loud and I try to say, oh, you're not in the driver's seat, or actually I really want depth in my relationships, and this is important to me. If the voice continues to be really loud, then sometimes I just drop everything and say, okay, you have my attention. What are you caring about? What is important to you?
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, so I was just wondering for you if you had awareness of where that place in you is coming from and what it's afraid of or what it's caring about, what's important to that voice.
Yeah. That voice comes with a real solid proof, evidence that it's not possible, that there aren't any other people around that are going to be safe. I'm not going to ever be safe with anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what that voice says. And because that was my truth for so many years. So when that's your truth, you see it, you reinforce that evidence that it's not possible. So making that like initial effort is hard. It can feel Sisyphean, like rolling that ball up the hill.
Totally.
So I think what I say to that voice and to that part of myself, that old part of myself, I say, you know what you did? You saw other people do it. And you said, if they can do it, I can do it.
Ooh.
Right? So find models, find people, ask, like, how do you do that? You look like you're getting along real well, the two of you, like, or you seem to get along with all your coworkers. What is it about that? Like, do you work at that? How is that for you? Is it just something you were gifted with, or do you work at it? And that could be a really lovely conversation, because even if someone is gifted with it and they just have that knack for ease with relationship, there's times where you don't have the ease and you have to apply skill.
Yeah.
So they'll have something to share.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's really powerful, because if you know where that voice is coming from, a history where that's not been modeled, or the possibility for repair hasn't gone well, or it hasn't felt safe, then you can hold that voice in inspiration, right? Okay, well, where have you seen it? You can kind of coach that part of yourself with this new higher part of yourself that does believe repair is possible. And you can hold it in tenderness, right? Of just understanding, like, I really get that it feels not possible sometimes.
Exactly.
And I really get that it's protective.
Right. As a witness for others, when you're seeing that, like, if I see that part of myself in someone else, I can just open up to compassion for, oh yeah, it's hard for you, and I'm here to make it a little less hard, maybe.
Yeah.
But I want to try, even if you're not ready, I want to try and be available.
Well said. In terms of how to do repair, tracking, well, first, believing that it's possible, right?
Yeah.
Believing in the value of repair. And then if you do have a voice that's protesting it, and you can track that, you might want to stop and create some space for that voice, find out what it's needing, and give that voice some repair. Give that voice some connection.
Nice.
That can be really helpful in developing the bonding, right? That safe place within the self to go into repair with more courage and more openness.
Yeah. So examples like, how else could we say that? Really, the we of us, right? When we're talking to ourselves and doing the internal repair, that's practice for out in the real world with another human being, or I can apply this to you, or someone else.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the work that we do within, right, is also the work we do outside of.
Right.
One thing I want to say, just to like preface this conversation, is that I think it's valuable to mark when it is possible to have repair, or when we want to explore the possibility of repair with a person, versus when we've explored the possibility of repair with a person and maybe it's not accessible. And if there's like an actively abusive relationship, and there's only, because it takes two people to repair. So if there's only one person invested in repair and the other person, it's an abusive or toxic relationship, then having a boundary is always a good choice.
Right.
So we do need a certain sense of safety and availability to access a repair conversation.
Right.
And I think it's totally okay to say, actually, I'm needing more of a boundary than a repair. And I think it's also okay to say, I've really tried repair and in this way, and really hung in there with this person and gave patience and gave grace, and it wasn't at a reciprocal place where we could access that level of repair together. And knowing that says nothing about your value, right? It says everything about the capacity for repair in that relationship.
At that moment.
Right. And that can be fluid and changing.
Exactly.
But just to mark those pieces, because sometimes when I'm talking about repair, people are like, well, I've been in this abusive relationship for 4 years. And it's like, wait, hold on. Okay, that might need a boundary. We might need to step away from that. It might not have the foundation to support conscious conflict.
Right.
Knowing how to discern
and that's real. That's real. I mean, physical abuse is physical abuse, and that's totally not tolerable ever, 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 right? So that's emotional abuse can also be a perception, and I can say that for myself. I know that I can feel abused when someone is not feeling like they're doing anything from a bad or a harmful place. They're totally not wanting to harm, and I can feel harm, and it can feel like abuse. So if I label something like that and I convince that person that they're abusive, that can really be a dynamic that's tough to come back from. It can reinforce itself so like gnarled storylines can get tough.
I'm so glad you said that. I think this comes up all the time, right? Where it's like not everybody is narcissistic.
There's
like
a lot of trauma flexing happening right now too. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
All of that. Like we're figuring it out as a human species. It is like baby steps for so many of us and we're quick to label. So if you tell me I'm a narcissist, I might believe you, even though I'm not sure what that means, right? That could be happening. It could really.
Side note, it's not often you tell an actual narcissist they're a narcissist and they believe you, so that's your first sign.
Absolutely.
But it is true, right? Like that we all have, I'm sure we all have a narcissistic place inside of us. And then sometimes when we're challenged or when we're really deeply triggered or when we're out of our hearts and we're in our wounding, we can totally be in that narcissistic place.
It can feel it. It can look like it.
Sure.
But it's like, I need help.
Right.
I need the attention on me right now, and I don't know how to get it.
Right, and it's not all of you. It doesn't mean like you have a narcissistic personality disorder, but you can be in a narcissistic part when you're deeply triggered and you don't have resources, and you're speaking through your behaviors instead of your words because that's your patterning and your conditioning.
Yes, all of the patterns, and being able to see them can be really difficult, especially if one person, so we're just assuming like this is an intimate couple and one person maybe a little bit more has spent more time really thinking about repair, thinking about tools, resourcing, finding, like talking to therapists, talking to friends, doing all that kind of collecting information and applying these different lenses or frames to the relationship, whereas the other person or people in a relationship might not be checking into any of that. Might be the subject of all of this, like, repair work happening in the eyes and mind of the other person, right? So when that happens, it's not conscious, right? There's not that conscious, consensual effort to address something in the relationship or a pattern or things in the relationship.
Yeah, there's not the reciprocity for that, too.
Yeah. So naming it, right? I think we mentioned that. It's like belief, naming it, using some of the basic words, and you can't emphasize that enough because as an activated person, those are the first things to go, like using our good words. Did you use your words? Like that parent-child relationship again.
So true. And the self-awareness to know if you're possibly too activated to have a repair conversation.
Yeah. Take a break. Yeah.
That self-awareness is everything. And it can be marked by the other person. This doesn't feel like it's going in a productive direction. It feels like there's too much activation here, or feels like there's a lot of defensiveness, and we might, like, are we both in our hearts?
Yeah. Check-ins.
Yeah,
right?
being able to stop, because nothing productive is going to come from a dysregulated place or an activated place in the nervous system. So I'm sure we can talk about all the skills that you can use to come back to nervous system regulation so that you can hang in there for the hard conversations.
We could do a couple of them. Let's do a couple of them when we get to that point.
Okay.
Because I'd love to show a couple, like I have a couple examples of polyvagal rebalancing that are so easy. And breath work, of course, there's a couple of easy things we can do. But when you're talking about nervous system dysregulation. These are phrases, words that we use regularly as therapists, as healthcare practitioners or healing practitioners, coaches, and so forth. But a lot of people don't use them in their relationship, and a lot of people don't know what it means in their own body to be regulated, to co-regulate, to be dysregulated. So examples, when your heart starts beating, when you feel like you can't breathe, naming that. That's what I mean by naming it. I can't breathe right now. I'm going to do something for myself. I'm noticing that you look, I'm noticing some stress, or maybe not even I'm noticing, but are you feeling stressed? And saying it with real gentleness, so that person can say yes or no, right? To really feel safe to say yes or no.
Yeah, marking defensiveness. Ooh, I just felt really defensive when you said that, and now I am only caring about being right or getting my perspective out there or being heard, and I actually don't have any capacity to listen.
Right.
And when you're speaking, I'm thinking about the next thing I can say to continue to defend myself and my character, or the next thing I can say at an attempt to be understood by you. When I notice myself in that place where my reactivity goes up, I might get hot, I feel hurt, ouch, right? Like something you said makes me totally go on the defense.
Right.
And my heart starts beating faster, and my brain, the wheels start turning of, what can I say? How can I prove myself? How can I get out of this?
Yeah.
Then I'm actually not available for repair in that moment because I don't have the capacity for listening. My capacity for listening has gone down, and my desire to self-protect is primary. So that's a dysregulated place.
Exactly.
And it's okay to be in that place. But as you said, the awareness to notice that and to name it.
Right.
And I think that comes from a history of not having a lot of safe conversations. So it feels like a war. It doesn't actually feel like a space to come back to connection. So every conversation that we have towards repair, I want to say towards repair, even if we don't achieve repair, but every conversation we have in the direction of repair, I'm trying to hang in there with you. Rewires a place inside of us that says maybe this can be safe. Maybe I am allowed to take a break here. Maybe I can express myself vulnerably here. So even the act of trying to move towards repair rewires those places within us. The dysregulation's not a bad thing, but being aware of that and then being able to mark it, hugely powerful.
And marking it could take so many different forms. It could be like a metaphor, it could be a witness, it could be, and so that I want to go back to something earlier, because sometimes in an unsafe relationship, or in a moment when a relationship is unsafe, the idea of repair can feel so daunting that the two people or multiple people in an intimate relationship might feel it's beyond them. So seeking outside support, and finding a therapist could be extremely difficult. It could add too much to the existing tensions. So it's like, who could come and be a witness? Is there one person that knows us and knows that I feel safe with? Could you just witness us having a conversation? That could be an approach, right? There's thinking ways that thinking creatively about repair can be so hard when you're in it and needing it, right? So that is something, asking someone to witness you is something I want to lift up for as a tool for repair. And a mindfulness practice, because I was mentioning to you earlier that mindfulness practice could be setting the boundaries for the self, breathing, reminding yourself to breathe, getting up, walking around the table once. It could be any number of things as long as it's conscious. Like, that word keeps coming up. What can be what can bring me into my conscious self right now.
Yeah. Love that. Yeah. Awareness of what's happening for you within you can come from mindfulness. Awareness of your core wounding can come from mindfulness. And then also regulation of the physiological sensations that is happening in your body and creating more space on a physiological level can come from mindfulness. So there's a lot of pieces in that.
Right. That whole, I've renamed it to latch, but is it halt? Are you hungry, angry, lonely, or tired? You know, any of those things that could be happening physiologically, if we don't check in, they could be at the driver's wheel.
Yeah.
You know, steering the vehicle of us.
These basic, simple things that might have an impact on when we're ready to have a repair conversation. And checking in. Like, would this be a good time to process it? I have so many conversations with others where they're not ready in the moment. And sometimes it takes a long time.
Yes.
Sometimes it's a month or 2 months, and you kind of have to sit in it. You know, you don't want to get too far beyond the point where the conversation's not going to be productive because you are now in the avoidance threshold.
Yes.
But needing a little bit more time to process and come into deeper understanding on your own is also okay, and something that you can ask for.
Right. As long as there's some measure of accountability, some measure of, I am still holding this. I have not buried it. It still matters to me, and I'm still checking in. You know.
Yeah. And just to kind of reiterate this piece, I think being able to hold our own core wounding is step one. And you also need the other person to be aware of their core wounding.
Right.
And when that can happen, that's the foundation for magic.
Yes, it is.
Because then you get to hold the other person's core wounding as well.
Yeah.
So I give this example often because it's simple and it's not too deep, but if part of my core wounding is a baseline sense of overwhelm, right? And when things in my environment are messy, my brain is messy, and my brain is overwhelmed.
Right.
And when I'm in an overwhelmed state, that doesn't feel safe physiologically to my body. So this could be a piece of my core wounding, just to give an example. So maybe when the dining room table has stuff all over it, it's immediately activating and triggering. Simple thing, but then I feel completely overwhelmed in my body. And if I also know that my partner has a core wounding of never being enough or never doing enough, and I can also hold that, then if I come home and the dining room table is covered with things, instead of saying, I always tell you to clean up the dining room table, this is so triggering to me, you never do it, you're so messy, your stuff is everywhere, that's now triggering their core wounding of, I'm not enough, I can never do things correctly.
Right.
But if I'm aware of my piece and I'm also aware of their piece, then I can come in and actually say, for whatever reason,
This is the reality.
for whatever reason, when the dining room table has stuff all over it, it makes me feel crazy. And I'm wondering if you can help me with that.
Exactly. You're asking for something, and you're not dumping. So there's so many things that are coming up with that example that you shared. It's so classic. And one of the things that, a couple of the words that you said include always and never. And those are really, like, even when we're consciously in conflict, those are tough words. They come from a dysregulated part of ourselves. You never do this, and you're always saying that, and you're
blaming.
Those are blaming, right? Blame shifting, and that is not being accountable to self, or that's dumping energy on somebody, and that it could be really nice and it's gross, but to think of ourselves as vomiting on someone else, we don't want to vomit on our loved ones, and we don't want to be vomited on. But we can also do some really important emotional hygiene, cleanup, and repair when someone has given us the feedback that they feel vomited on or dumped on, blamed all of that. So those are tools to keep in mind, and words and frames to keep in mind. Words do matter, always and never matter. And the choice of seeing the other person's heart, the other person's light that's on in them, that we want that light to be bright. Being able to see that allows us to bring our best selves forward. And also sometimes if we've heard it, that we've gotten the blame dumping on us enough, we might feel broken, and we might not feel capable of repair, even though we are, right? So like, I could be telling you, oh, I'm broken. I just can't. I can't do it. I keep trying, but might not say the words I'm broken, but I might feel it. So you might give up on me if you think I'm broken and I think I'm broken, and that might be a possibility to repair, but we might need that witness. We might need some kind of intervention in order for that light to come back on.
Yeah, and going off of that, I think that's very well said, and going off of that, the stories that we tell ourselves about ourselves and the stories that we tell ourselves about others matter, right? Just as you said, it impacts the relational dynamic. It impacts I often say it this way, the entity that is the relationship.
Exactly, that Venn diagram of the you, the me, and the us,
yes,
the we.
Right. There's two people here, but the ways that our energy comes together and creates a dynamic and creates a collective story between the two of us is its own entity, and that's the relationship.
Especially if you're adding multiple partners, and
Sure.
you've got a polycule going on, there's a real dynamic, moving,
and
living being that needs care.
And not just that, but if you really look at it too, it's, who do I have standing behind me energetically? Right? It's me in the relationship, but I have my caregivers standing behind me, my sibling relationships, I have past relationships standing behind me, and all of these energetically affect how I'm showing up in this relationship.
Yeah.
My story.
This moment, right?
Yep.
The stories of all these people that I have chosen to hear, I might be bringing right now. Like, how do you suss out or sort through all that?
Right, and I don't know if you do, but I think it's extremely valuable to recognize that there's multiple people in the room energetically, and there's multiple people contributing to the entity that is the relationship. Right. And not to go too complex, but within that, there's multiple parts of ourselves.
Exactly.
So we're holding a lot of energy in relationship. Between two people, between multiple people, however that expands, there's a lot of energy. And holding intention, I think, can be really powerful. Holding the intention for connection and coming back together instead of being right, or instead of proving yourself. Right? Or instead of being
winning.
Winning, right? Which all of that is, I'm avoiding feeling something I don't want to feel. So if I can stay above it, and I can win, or I can be right, or I can prove something.
It's power.
And it moves me away from that disempowered place within me that I don't want to feel. So if we can just be aware of that and hold the intention to come back to connection. If winning, if being right is more important than being in connection, even if that's an unconscious
pattern,
or piece that's alive, that can really change the whole dynamic. So intention is incredibly powerful, even when it comes to spiritual work. Right? Like, not getting into that, but
well, it is spiritual to navigate power together. It really is, because power is such a huge cultural thing. It causes harm, epigenetic harm across time, sociologically, systemically, institutionally. There's all this power dynamic that can be happening that we're carrying. And to hold ourselves accountable to somebody is one thing, but to hold somebody else accountable to us is a completely different thing. And if we see somebody posturing, wanting power in the relationship, it takes a lot of skill to say, oh, that's not okay. And to have words, if we haven't practiced those words, to really find the grace of the moment, of the potential relationship in the repair.
Yeah. That makes me think of, what do apologies look like?
Mm-hmm. Real apologies?
Repair.
I'm sorry.
Oriented.
I'm sorry.
Right, repair-oriented apologies.
Yeah.
What are you sorry for?
Yeah.
What are you committing to do differently?
Right.
Where's the accountability, right? As you just spoke to, if I'm doing something that's actually out of character for me, and that's not the character that I want to show up in.
Mm-hmm. Or not how I see myself. It might be how you see me.
Sure. Right. But I could feel that I moved out of my character in that moment. And I'm apologizing for that, because that's never how I want to show up in relationship.
Nice.
And here's how I'm committed to doing it differently.
Beautiful. Yeah. An apology says, here's why I'm sorry, and here's what I'm going to do about it. It's not just stop complaining. I'm sorry already. Did you hear me? Anyway.
Something I hear so often in my work from couples, and you could look at it, right, as like maybe one is more anxious or one is more avoidant. But I think if you're really to scale back on that a little bit, or rather zoom out, would be a better way of saying it, it can feel like there's one partner that's committed to the repair and committed to the conversations and committed to coming back together. And there's another partner that's, I thought everything was okay, or why are we having this conversation again, or how are we back here? What are your thoughts, if you have any, on how to navigate that, how to navigate a discrepancy between two people? And I think sometimes this is a capacity gap, right? Like one partner has more skill than the other partner. One partner has more awareness than the other partner. I think it could totally be attachment. One person might be an optimizer, perfectionist, or a fixer, and the other one is more avoidant, repressed.
Right.
I think it could also be a values gap. We care about different things.
So many.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on how to navigate that?
Well, certainly naming the specifics of what the values gaps might be. Like, I value honesty and transparency. And okay, that's wonderful, and I can see that, and I can honor that. And certainly not speaking for another person, but maybe the other person values like kindness and respect. And they can seem like they're at odds, because sometimes the transparency, oh, I want to be talking about that right now in the moment, and there's other people around, and this person's like feeling disrespected, because that doesn't feel like respect. How do you navigate that? You can literally just put it on, map it, and be like, in these situations, I feel I need more respect from you. I get your transparency and your honesty, but the context matters to me. Here's how I feel disrespected. Having those conversations and being able to see that it is a continuum. There are different circumstances and environments where I'm going to feel like I can't be transparent, or where my honesty to myself might feel like dishonesty to you. So it's a lot of situational.
I love that
dialogue.
Yeah, I love the idea of mapping it too, and it just makes me think that really the baseline of this is being in relationship where there's a foundation of conscious conflict, or there's a foundation of wanting to be in repair.
Yeah.
And I think even if you've been in a relationship for 15 years, you can still establish that culture.
Right.
You can come into it, but the foundation is really establishing this culture that we're going to bring these things to the surface and we're going to talk about it. And, this just came right through me, but I was in a narrative therapy class back in grad school. And one thing the professor said that just came through as really relevant as having the foundation of conscious conflict and creating that culture if you don't have it. He said that a complaint really represents a desire, and a desire represents a need. And underneath a need is a value, and we can certainly make commitments around values and relationships.
Yes.
So even just using that as part of the map, right? How do we take whatever we're complaining about and really bring it to the deeper level of what we're caring about?
Yes, yes.
And making a commitment around what my partner cares about. But I do think that foundational level of developing that culture we could start with a complaint, but bringing it to the root and being in it with each other and being willing to have the conversation and being willing to be self-aware is necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Like that desire to have that as a part of your culture or to learn it.
Yeah.
Even the desire to learn it. If the skill is not there, if the skill is not inherent.
Mm-hmm.
But I do feel like the desire to learn it, the desire for it to be a part of your relationship, valuing it is necessary.
And it absolutely is. And it could feel so evasive or elusive to people who think, I keep trying, and I'm here, I'm showing up. But the other partner keeps saying, I don't feel heard, over and over again. There is clearly something that's missing. And when you say about that culture, that foundational, you said when the magic happens, when there's a shared foundation of vulnerability. And when one partner doesn't think that they're ever going to be or need to be vulnerable, that can be a real break. Like there might not be a possibility to repair if one person consistently refuses to be vulnerable or look at what vulnerability could feel like for themselves. Yes. What part of their life? Oh, I've healed that. I my relationship with my mother, we're good. My relationship with my father, we're good. I don't have to go there again and again and again. Why do people keep going back there? Because there was a wounding that happened, and that has informed so much of the trajectory of that life. Yeah. So going back doesn't mean that I'm stuck there, but it means that I'm feeling a reverberation from that right now. And so I want to, in my full vulnerability, really be speaking from that place of openness and honesty. And if that's not mutual, it can be, that's the power dynamic that I was speaking about earlier. It's like, also to your point, you brought up this wonderful thing, like one person has more skill, perhaps, and the other doesn't. That power that the person with the skill has could be disempowering to the person who's just like not feeling that call to do that work, because that person has done so much of it. Why do I have to do the work? Right? That's one power dynamic.
So potent.
The other power dynamic in that same scenario is, I'm not going to do the work. I'm holding the power. You have to do the work because I refuse. Right? So this person is going to keep doing all that work, and this person's going to keep not doing it. So power does not necessarily mean the person who has done the work to resource themselves. Power is what it feels like in that moment, and those patterns of shared power or not.
Yes, so potent to really look at that. Because also what we're not willing to go back into, not to get stuck there, but to revisit, to be aware of, to hold, has more power over us.
Yeah.
Because whatever is running in the unconscious mind without our awareness is just running in the background all the time. That's so much power to have.
Yeah.
If it's conscious, we get to choose. We have choice. If it's unconscious, we don't have as much choice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Or accountability. Radical accountability is really important to at least explore. Do you feel I'm being accountable to you? Oh, you don't. Why? I really want to hear that. I want to share some tools and hear what you use as tools with clients and so forth. Phrases, that feel really good to use as neutral phrases. Tripping over my words today, sorry. Sometimes I like to look at things as a light switch. It's on, on and off. The light just went on when that happened. Oh, that feels really good. I turned the light on in you when I did something. So those are really empowering. It's an empowering phrase. Oh, that light just went on for me. Thank you. I feel I have a loose thread with you. And can we, we talk about repair. Sometimes you want to repair a sweater. Can we repair the loose thread of the conversation that we had, or that interaction, or that experience? I'm feeling some loose threads here. Coming together to tie them up together. What are some of the examples that you use, or phrases, or I also use like passing the mic, so I'm seeing myself do that with you. Examples that you find helpful.
Yeah, and you mean kind of how to start a repair conversation? Like some of these key phrases to start that?
Yeah, or even like to stop something, like, ooh, ouch is an easy word to say. Ouch, that can stop it right then, and you could do the repair in that moment. So it's either initiating or coming back around.
Yeah, I love that. So initiating, I always like to say, this is the story I'm telling myself. Mm-hmm. Right? Or
that's accountable.
This is the experience I'm having, or this is the story I'm telling myself. Mm-hmm. And I want to bring it to you because I know we all have our own stories. And I think it could be really helpful to hear what story is happening for you, mm-hmm. So that I can keep track of what's coming from an internal place within me and what might be real.
And give you some space to respond to it.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Especially as a sensitive, empathic being, there's so much energy I'm picking up on all of the time.
Right.
And not all of that is meant to be processed. Some of it's just meant to be let go of.
Like the river flowing.
Let it move.
Yeah.
But that can be really challenging to do, right? If you're sensitive, if you're empathic, if you're picking up on a lot of energy, to determine what energy is your responsibility and what's not your responsibility. Like what's just floating in the room and it can mm-hmm. just float there. Mm-hmm. You don't have to take responsibility for it. Yeah. So it's really helpful for me to start with, this is the story I'm telling myself, or this is the energy I'm feeling, because it allows me to check in with the other person. Mm-hmm. What were you feeling in this moment? Am I spot on, or am I picking up on someone else's energy?
Yeah, yeah.
Or is this energy a product of my core wounding that I'm actually not aware of in this moment? Mm-hmm. And so being able to bring that to a conversation allows space for me to track that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that was someone else's energy, because I'm taking you at face value, right? Or, okay, maybe that was my core wounding. So yeah, this is a story I'm telling myself, or sometimes I'll say to my partner, feeling something energetically in the space, and I'm wondering if I can talk to you about that.
Nice.
Right?
Yeah.
And
asking
kind of
permission.
Yeah.
Putting some power into, like acknowledging the power of your partner, of another person.
Yeah.
Is you're halfway there.
Yeah. And sometimes for him it can be really valuable because he's like, hold on, let me stop and check in.
Nice.
Oh, like I am
sounds like
stressed.
You've really done this before.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Just took 10 years. So that can also be helpful because maybe it brings more awareness, or it invites somebody into a moment of checking into their own experience and saying, maybe someone that has more of an avoidant tendency, how am I feeling in this moment, or how did I respond to that, right? Yeah. And that brings more closeness and more connection. And then to kind of stop a conversation that feels like you're not centered in your heart in terms of a phrase saying that. Like, I don't actually feel like I'm in my heart right now, and I don't think that's productive. Or my defensiveness is too high and I don't feel like I am actually hearing you. It doesn't feel reciprocal. Mm-hmm. I need to take space. So kind of rerouting it.
Yeah, nice. So those are active conversational, those are oars in the river, right? You're directing the current of the conversation with some really empowering phrases there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they could be like light switch or simple little things, or they could be like, I'm feeling I'm not in my heart right now, or I'd really like to do a check-in right now. Can we take a pause? it could be any number of things, but whatever feels comfortable that can be reinforced and repeated for repair, not ours.
Totally. So we had talked about how having the capacity for repair is really a nervous system piece, right? Having this spaciousness, the capacity in your own body is nervous system regulation.
There's so many biochemical reactions that happen to us. The brain has a quadrillion neurons that are firing all the time, and that potential for dysregulation
leads
us to need to repair within the self.
I think you can know a lot of this intellectually, right? You can have an idea of how to go into a repair conversation, how to start it, what to be aware of, how to reroute it, how to create that foundation within your relationships of having conscious conflict, just hanging in there with each other, being patient, trying, because that in and of itself is rewiring neural pathways. And yet there's still this somatic piece of my body is reacting to this. Even though I know intellectually how to do this, my body's reacting to this.
The heat's rising, whatever's happening. It's real.
So I think we can go over like a couple quick tips for people to use to come into regulation on a somatic level.
Yeah, I would like to share a couple of exercises or things that people can do. Are you thinking of, because we just talked about phrases, are you thinking about frameworks, or are you thinking about physical things?
Yeah, well, I want to say one piece about a framework, and then I think just going into some physical tools people can use to come back to regulation on a somatic level.
Yes.
The last piece about the framework is just that if you are in a repair conversation and you're brilliantly aware, right, that you're in a very activated place, sometimes that's a key that there has to be a repair conversation within yourself before you can actually do it with your partner. So as we talked about in the beginning, right, that's taking a pause, coming back, creating space for the voice within you that wants to fight or that wants to be defended or protect yourself, or that wants to flee, that wants to be like, I'm done with this relationship, it's not worthy, let me get out of here. Or the voice inside you that wants to pedestal, right, and put you in a position of power of, well, I'm doing more work anyways. Whatever it is that's keeping you from being in a regulated state, coming into a conversation with yourself. So letting that part come to the surface, asking that part what it's caring about, asking that part what it needs, how you can support that part, right? When I say that part, it's the part of you that's getting in the way of repair with another person.
Yeah, exactly.
So just on a framework level, if you're struggling to be regulated in that conversation, it might be a cue for you to step away and have more of that dialogue with the different parts of yourself.
Right. Take a sip of water, take a breath, walk around outside for just a minute. I also have a tool in the Inner Fortune Journal that I reference all the time, and I call it Using Your Wits. And it's WITS, why is this so? And that can help be like, oh, I know there's something here. I don't know what it is. What just happened? Why did that happen? Oh, why did that happen? And why did that happen? So it's kind of like peeling back that onion, pulling back even moments of a conversation or an experience to look at it more carefully so that we can re-regulate.
Beautiful.
And care for the self. So yeah, I would love to give examples of polyvagal rebalancing, in that the nerves that come through the spinal cord and come out into the body that show us our activation. It's really important to rebalance that, and the breath can do that when we get into our deep belly breathing. So really breathing in the belly first. I like to think of it as a balloon filling up down here first. So instead of just chest breathing, we can breathe deep into the belly, then expand the ribs and bring it up, and then exhale the opposite way. So it's kind of counterintuitive. But those really get the nerve endings deep into, close to the spinal column that can, within the diaphragm, really get the body to feel safe again. So that deep belly breathing,
So you're expanding into your belly.
Yeah, breathing the air into the belly before the ribs and before the chest. So it's a practice called Durga breathing, or it's a type of pranayama. So it's not something that you can just master, but everybody can do belly breathing. You know,
breathe into the belly.
At least practice with that. So deep belly breathing. And then, so there's like 6 steps of kind of holding the body, rubbing the ears. Is there, you know, what is that? USA. You know, it does feel really good, and there's a reason for it. I don't know all the biochemicals of it, but starting with the ears, rubbing them nice and gently, being kind to oneself, maybe that's part of it. And then covering the eyes just for a few breaths. Holding the face for a few breaths. Holding the heart for a few breaths. That's the fourth posture. Holding the belly for a few breaths. And then hands up on the lap for a few breaths. So those are the 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So beautiful. Yeah. So good.
Yeah,
People
it's so
can
easy.
Access that. Yeah.
Right, so easy.
That's beautiful. Yeah, a quick one is icing your vagus nerve.
Icing
Your vagus nerve.
Okay.
So easy, so simple. I guess you can't really do it anywhere unless you're willing to look strange. And if you are, you can do it anywhere. But putting ice either on your chest right here, so it's this space, collarbone, center of chest, and placing something cold or an ice pack wrapped in a towel on your chest or on the back of your neck, the base of the neck. So those are 2 quick and easy places that if you're putting something cold, it just brings your nervous system into parasympathetic. It just brings your nervous system into safety. Cold exposure in general. So if it's wintertime, you can step outside for a moment and let your body get really cold. You can step into a cold shower.
Cold shower. It's so good for the thyroid.
So powerful because it's so quick. Yeah. It's great for kids too, because kids can really struggle. Obviously, they're children with the intellectual piece of what's happening in their body, but knowing that they need cold exposure to ice their vagus nerve, really powerful. Creating a breath, so this is similar to the belly breath, but so that the exhale is twice the amount of time as the inhale. So if you're inhaling to 3, you'd be exhaling to 6. This is a great way to tell the parasympathetic nervous system that we're safe, because when we're in a stress response physiologically, we're breathing in a lot. So a lot of times if you're in a panic attack or you're having anxiety, it's going to feel like you can't breathe. That's actually because you're breathing in too much.
Right.
And you're not exhaling enough.
Nice.
So if you're ever in that moment, just extending the exhale is really powerful. And then this one people would have to look into on their own, but I really like EFT. So that stands for Emotional Freedom Technique, and it's a series of tapping. And you can kind of look it up on YouTube. I think there's a lot of practitioners that go through the tapping points.
Do a little bit? Yeah.
Yep. And under your nose, and on your chin, and your collarbone, and then under your armpit.
Oh, yeah.
And then this is the karate chop points. You can chop like that, or you can tap right here between your pinky and your ring finger. Karate chop, top of head, middle eyebrow, side of brow, under eye, under nose, chin,
Nice.
collarbone, armpit, karate chop for this point.
Nice.
And there's like a series of things you can say. Typically it goes something like, even though I'm feeling really anxious right now, or even though I'm feeling really triggered right now, it could be possible that I'm safe. It could be possible that this is fleeting. Or you could say, I am totally and completely safe. If that's harder to access, I really like the it could be possible. Because that lets it get into the subconscious mind, where if you say I'm totally and completely safe right now, and your subconscious mind is like, no, I'm not. It's going to be harder to get in.
For sure. Yeah, you don't want to trick yourself. You want to really see the vision before you use those phrases.
Yeah, and there's lots of resources like online for phrasing and reviewing the tapping points. But
exactly.
Yeah, some quick ones.
Nice. And I love this container. You hug yourself, you put one arm under and one arm over. All right.
Okay.
Well, that is episode 4 of Mujeres Co-Labor for Peace, Peace in the Body.
Thanks
How
for
did you
doing
repair? Yeah.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. And as always, we're open to hearing your feedback. If there's any questions you have, anything that really touched you, we'd love for you to reach out and share it. And we hope that this conversation brings each and every one of you into just a little bit more peace inside your bodies.
May it be so.
Bye.